How come everyone has their shit together and you don't? How come everyone has an empty email inbox and you don't? And why do you feel like your to-do list is only growing? In today's episode, I'm gonna teach you the 4 P's and how they are gonna help you to get your shit more together and to make sure that you are actually working on proactive stuff to move your business and your ideas forward instead of just staying busy. Hello, and welcome to the Fast Forward Amy Show, the show where we lift your life and business with simple strategies. I'm Fast Forward Amy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode every Tuesday. I work so hard, but my to-do list is always just growing even more. I have so many ideas for projects and I can't seem to execute any single one of them. I want to do stuff, but all I seem to be doing is answering messages and just being busy. Bum bum bum. Mic drop. I'm not holding a microphone, but I wish I was so I could drop a microphone. Does that sound familiar? I think it does, and damn, if you're being honest, sometimes it sounds familiar to me too, although I do get a lot of shit done. Staying busy is not the same as actually being productive. And if you recognize any of this episode is for you, because in a really short podcast episode, we're going to walk you through how you can fix this. This is episode 93 of the Fast Forward Amy Show, and you know the drill by now. Wow, we're nearing our 100th episode. But if you want to read the tips from this episode and have the recap because you're busy and on the road, simply go to fastforwardamy.com/93 to find all of the resources mentioned in this episode. If you look at the biggest accomplishments you've ever achieved in your life and you would write all of them down on your right side piece of paper, for example, for me, that could be my $1 million launch, buying my house, building a team, hiring my first employee. I could put up my biggest accomplishments on the right side, and then on the left side, I could list out all of my daily and weekly tasks. And if I would look at that, and if I would draw a line, for example, being featured in a magazine or stuff like that, I could look on the right side, okay, these are my big accomplishments. And on the left side, I could circle and draw a line between the tasks and things I did that actually got me there. For example, for me, that could be signing so many clients for the Business Freedom Elevator launch. Well, that had to do with a lot of content marketing, a lot of video marketing, and actually emails. Yet, in my day-to-day operations, there also seemed to be a lot of answering messages, doing personal emails, getting phone calls, being on the road. And none of those things had anything to do with the big accomplishments on the right. Paying invoices, doing taxes, stuff like that, that had nothing to do with my big accomplishments. If you do that for yourself and you pause me right now and you think of, wow, these are some of my very biggest accomplishments. Wow, this is the shit show I go through every day. Which one of the things on the left actually has anything to do with your biggest accomplishments? I hope you already had an epiphany. I hope this was, you know what, I'll just shut down this episode right now. I won't. But if you see all of those daily tasks, chances are that now you've highlighted a few of the most important ones. My bet is also that when you achieved those things, you really went all in on those items, and that throughout your days and weeks, if you feel like your to-do list is only growing, you're actually not creating the space for yourself to go all in on those things even more. Because if you will look at, for example, going live, which for me has a massive effect on my business, going live 1 hour a day, one of my 8 working hours a day, might be one of the smartest things I could do for my business. Yet, I don't even go live every week. I probably only go live once a month, maybe, for a decent live packed with value. Once a month, let me calculate this out. I have an Apple Watch, so I can look at, okay, so 1 hour a month out of, let's say, 40 working hours a week. So 1 hour a month divided by 40 working hours is 2.5%, divided by 4 weeks is 0.6%. If I would spend even 20% of my time creating video content, I am certain that I would be getting a lot more clients, that I would be getting featured in many more places, many more people would be inviting me as a speaker, and so on, because those are big accomplishments for me, right? You determine your own big accomplishments, but if you're working really hard and feeling like your to-do list is only growing instead of being reduced, chances are you're not hitting those big accomplishments, right? So if we look at these, we've now figured out what we should be doing more of and what we should be trying to trim as being time sensitive. So for example, if you spend too much time on your invoices, you could find a system that makes it easier for you, or you could outsource it. But whenever I talk about that, everyone was like, "No, Amy, I don't have the money yet." You don't have the money yet to outsource, okay, totally fine. Then we're just gonna trim it and make it more simple to do through systems, or we're gonna make sure that you make more money in your business because you're getting the big accomplishments, and that is why you can then start outsourcing the smaller stuff. But pay attention to this. If you keep spending 80% of your time on the small stuff, your results will be tiny, tiny, tiny. You need to be spending 80% of the time on the big stuff instead of the other way around to make big moves, okay? It's not gonna happen by accident, those big accomplishments. If you wanna make the big moves and you wanna make sure that you do the right things, you have the Eisenhower matrix about stuff that is important or urgent. Some things are important, some things are urgent. And when you feel like you're putting out fires in your business all the time, it's probably because most of the things you are doing are both important and urgent. I have made podcast episodes about this. This is all in my BFE. But today I wanna walk you through none of the usual stuff. We have the CBA principle in the BFE. We have the Eisenhower matrix and many more things. Today I want to talk to you about the 3 P's. No, this is not the P you think it is. These are 3 P's, namely proactive, perfectionism, and Pareto. I'm not thinking, is Pareto pronounced like it? I don't know. I'm gonna run with it, okay? So our first P, and the sentence that goes with it, is be proactive. You even have to be proactive in making this list, because you'll be all fired up. I hope you can feel my energy, because I really want you to achieve big things just like I want for all of my BFE clients. But you gotta be proactive also in determining what your proactive stuff is. So before you start answering messages in the morning, before you start checking your notifications, before you start being reactive, every day you should be proactive. And sometimes that might mean that you need to get up even earlier, that you might need to take the beginning of your week to journal on what needs to happen that week. Every week right now, I determine the top 3 projects that aren't getting any time and attention from me that should be getting that time and attention, and then I make sure we move forward on those 3 things. For example, currently we are time tracking with the team, we are building up launches, and sometimes the things that will create a really big shift in our team, like me training the team, become an afterthought. But actually, that should become one of the first things we do, because we can eliminate a lot of the work afterwards if we first do the proactive stuff first. Those were a lot of firsts. So you need to be proactive, both in determining what your top projects are to spend time on, which is what we just did with that list exercise, as well as actually making sure that you do those things on a daily basis before you become reactive. Reactive is anything where you are reacting to what's happening, like messages, emails, phone calls. Proactive is working on the big building blocks first. And you know what? Parkinson's law, oh, that's a 4th P. We're doing the 4 Ps today. Parkinson's law states that, I think it's something like work expands to fill the time you allow for it. And I've always thought that was weird, because I was like, yeah, but when I need to prep videos, it usually ends up taking up more time than I thought it would. And Parkinson's law, I don't know about it. But the thing is, I think with big stuff like creating a course, often you underestimate how much time you need for it. But for example, handling your email inbox with 50 emails that you haven't done, if you give yourself half an hour to do that, it will work. If you give yourself 2 hours for it, it will work. It's the same as having an exam and having 5 days to study for it or 3 days. You can get the same amount of work done. That is Parkinson's law. And the thing is that this is especially true for the small stuff. It's also true for the big stuff, but I think, for example, for me prepping podcast episodes, that also just has to do with skill. But small stuff like answering messages, paying bills, answering emails, all of that busy stuff, those are typical examples of Parkinson's law. It will expand to fill the time you allow for it. So if you allow for less time to do it, you will do it in less time. But if you start your day by doing that stuff, then there will be no time left to do the big stuff. So if you start your day with the big stuff, then in that little time left, you will be able to manage the small stuff. That's Parkinson's law for you in your busy but not productive business. So we had be proactive. Then we had be mindful of Parkinson's law. I just made that up. And then third up, we have let go of perfectionism. When you are doing those things, you might see an email, close it again, and think I'll reply to it later when I have more brain space. But somewhere in your brain, you have the decision you need to make. Somewhere in your brain, you know how to reply. You just don't know how to craft the perfect email. That's fine. You can still reply. A reply is better than no reply. A video course is better than no video course. An Instagram post is better than no post. An Instagram story is better than no story. A live not announced is better than no live whatsoever. So let go of perfectionism, because perfectionism is better used in optimizing what you do, but it's not as well used in actually kickstarting your big building blocks in your proactive work. Okay, so be proactive, be aware of Parkinson's law, let go of perfectionism, and last but not least, love the Pareto power. The Pareto principle is all about the 80-20. You've heard me say this many, many times. Our team has a drinking game. Whenever I say 80-20, they take a shot. So there are many shots being taken on this recording day. I shall have to catch up to them at the end of the day. Actually, this is the last podcast episode I'm recording today, and then we're having drinks, and I'm looking forward to them. So yeah, love Pareto power. It means that 20% of your clients will yield you 80% of your income. 20% of the stuff you do on a daily basis will get you 80% of your results. And if I look at that concept of going live, when I'm in a launch, I do so much stupid shit. I spend so much time on tweaking stuff and figuring out the best way to do X, Y, Z, whereas I could probably launch almost as well as I have done in the past just by going live, for example, every day with really good topics. My content is my 80-20. You need to look at what are the big things that can yield you really big results instead of what are all of the busy things that won't yield you your results. I just tore up our entire way of launching and content marketing because I saw that we were expanding our team. We were adding more and more people on the pile, and we were adding more and more work and more rules. And we ended up with this huge dinosaur that was actually made up of small squirrels instead of an actual dinosaur because we were just building on top of each other. And along the way, we had lost sight of what is our 80-20. Our 80-20 for us is authentic content marketing. Really great, really actionable, no bullshit content. And because we were looking at how can we create scarcity and urgency and all of the different tactics, we kind of lost sight of the core of our message. Our core message, be that in an ugly email, a pretty email, or a video, that is our thing. Me going live and being well prepared and then being at the top of my game so that I can be my own authentic authority, that is what we need. By the way, if you want to learn more about authentic authority, I would definitely recommend you go and listen to last week's episode. And what I want to tell you right now is, if you're working so hard, but your to-do list is only growing, that's because it's a to-do list. It's not a to-grow list. So what I want to ask you today, after you've learned about these 4 P's, is make your to-grow list instead of your to-do list. And start from there. In order to grow your business, you need to focus on these and these projects. You need to let go of perfectionism. And if you are having trouble trying to select which projects those are, think of my examples. It might be in your day-to-day activities that you need to select what your 80-20 is. It might be that you need to look at your past, how you've done it then, and what really moved the needle. That's how you can figure out what your 80-20 is, okay? So if you've been thinking in the past, I just can't do it, I just can't do it all, you don't need to do it all. You just need to move forward, be proactive, and do the important stuff before you do the busy stuff. Now, if you're thinking, holy shit balls, Amy, I am so inspired. I really want to get going and I want more of these super practical hands-on tips. I hear you. I really love this episode too. I made this training on how you can start your business. Even if you've already started your business, but you feel like it should be more profitable, or you feel like, hey, I feel like I'm running in circles and I really want to take the next good steps, go and check out my Start Your Business training. You can find it through fastforwardamy.com/start your business. There you can find the training where I'm going to walk you through those big 80-20 things you need to be doing in your business in order to be successful, and profitable. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that the 4 Ps are now also your best friend. I had so much fun recording this. By the way, I want to congratulate everyone who has joined our Business Freedom Elevator in the past week. We love having you on board. And if you're still interested in our BFE, come and check us out on fastforwardamy.com/elevator to find out more about our world-renowned flagship program to build a profitable, authentic authority brand and all of the other bullshit bingo words that we can use there. I'm gonna wrap up and go and check out how many times I said 80-20 today, okay? Have a happy day and talk to you next week, Tuesday.